going on, my fellow fuzzbutts? ZabuTheSergal here, and I'm back in another video just to educate my people. And today, we are kicking off the wonderful, infamous hurricane season. And if you don't live on the East Coast, then yeah, you know, every section of the country has their respective natural disasters that they have to worry about. You know, on the West Coast, they have earthquakes and all that stuff, and in the Midwest, they have the tornadoes, and on the East Coast, we got good old hurricanes. And right now, there's one coming. But before I get into that, I just want to let you guys know that I'm getting back into posting on Patreon, so definitely become a patron. That way you can support this channel and the things that I do. You can support the webcomic and all that stuff. There's going to be more stuff rolling out and all that good stuff. And don't forget to check out my artwork tee shop because there's going to be new designs coming for that real soon. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe because it helps out a lot. Now. Earlier this week, or I should say last week, Florida was in a state of emergency whenever good old Hurricane Dorian was surfacing, because at the time it was just a Category 4 and it was headed straight towards Florida. And in case you don't know what Florida looks like, it's like a little thumb hanging out on the bottom of the country. And so, you know, it's geography lesson. What's it called when there's a mass of land and surrounded on three sides by water? Is that I'm trying to remember it. I know is it a peninsula? I don't know. I go back to school on Monday, so I should probably, you know, try to jog my memory on these things, even though I don't have a geography class. But still, you never know when they're going to throw some of that stuff at you. Yeah, going back to college on September 3rd, which, yep, that's tomorrow, Wednesday, Tuesday. Today's Sunday. Anyway, before I go off on this whole super big, huge tangent, there is a hurricane headed for the East Coast. And up until yesterday, it had its eyes dead set on Florida, but it took a little shift because storms are completely unpredictable. So now it's heading kind of like for the Georgia/Carolinas, which is where the good old Sergal resides, and it's upgraded to a Category 5, which means that, Category 5. I forgot I only have 4 digits on these paws. So yeah, it's upgraded to a Category 5, and that means that it's so much stronger and it's got all these wind speeds and all that stuff. But yeah, we never know what it's going to do because it is a natural disaster. It could be kind of going on this arc that it's going on to and then completely shift and go another direction. It could completely turn around. It could stop dead in its tracks like Hurricane Florence did last year, which was very, 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 very bad. Just a super big Category 4 hurricane, but it's moving at like 4 miles an hour. And there was a lot of hurricanes that did that. I think Hurricane Harvey did around the same thing in Texas, where it was just moving so incredibly slow that it was just dumping so much water over the course of like several days, and it was just a bad, terrible thing. Now, where we live in North Carolina, we're a little further inland, so we don't have to, you know, worry about the storm surge and all that stuff, rising, you know, water levels and all that good stuff, because I think the only, like, body of water close to us is, like, there's, the only, like, lake or whatever is, like, Moss Lake, but even then, we live pretty far away from that lake, and we're kind of closer to, like, the mountains, so I think we will be okay in that regard. We'll get plenty of rain. We'll get a lot of rain. That's usually what we get because we're hugging the mountains all the time. We usually only get the super big mass of rain, but like I say, when it comes to natural disasters, we never really know what's going to happen because they are very, very unpredictable. But Dorian is going to basically be the first hurricane of this season, and there's going to be many more to follow. And maybe we can do like we've did with hurricanes in the past, where all the memes get going and all this stuff happens, and then that hurricane just kind of fizzles out before it even gets here. I forgot which one did that. It may have been Florence. I don't know. I know that, or was it Harvey? I don't really remember because there's so many that happens, and I know that they kind of give them these names that way they can kind of track them a little better. But there was one hurricane that was super duper strong, and it like tore through some shit, and then it was on the way to the Carolinas, and then before it got there, it just kind of fizzled out into like a regular storm and barely did anything. So who knows? Good old Dorian out there in the ocean might just do that. But I know like the Bahamas and like those islands like that, they're getting bombarded and smashed like as we speak. I'll probably have a something here on the screen somewhere just so you guys can see exactly where it is and what it's doing at this certain point in time right now. Holy moly donut shop. And I am fortunate that we live, you know, further inland because we just live in a trailer. So super big storm come through, it will absolutely rattle, wreck, destroy trailers and stuff like that, because as far as like the foundation and like the superstructure and all that stuff of a trailer, there's not really a whole lot to it. It's not like a brick house with like super big thick studs and all that stuff. It's just you know, just a little trailer just kind of sitting here hanging out, you know, doing old trailer things. So it's fortunate that super big storms don't really rip through these. That super big storms don't typically rip through areas like this. Why was that so hard to say? But yeah, I mean, we're gonna get a whole lot of rain in the next week, and tomorrow's like Labor Day and all this stuff, and it's gonna be a grand old time, and oh my god. Granted, I don't know when the rain will start to hit. I haven't really looked at the maps a lot recently, or today for that matter. Probably do that whenever I'm doing the editing and all that stuff. But for right now, yeah, the storm just is kind of going on its normal arc. It's not gonna like cross over, like the eye is not gonna actually cross over on land like most of them usually do, because if that happens, then nobody really has anything to worry about, because that's when, you know, the hurricane starts to lose power because it generates more power over the sea because everything is completely level and that's where all the water is and all that stuff. Once it gets over land and it starts to cross terrain and all that stuff, it messes with the, you know, the rotation of the storm, and then it slowly starts to fizzle out. That's why I like most hurricanes, like as they touch land and they go further inland, they just slowly fizzle out into nothingness. And some, they'll like touch land and then they'll just turn around and go right back to sea and go to whatever thingamajig that they're coming from. Science! And of course, there's a whole lot of conspiracies about that. They're like, oh, we saw a video one time where the government, they made a rain cloud and they made it rain on this little town over there. So who's to say there's not a secret government island out there in the middle of the damn Atlantic that they're just pumping out these hurricanes and just trying to cause a ruckus, that way destruction can happen and then they can fix the destruction and make themselves look better because government. But we won't get into that right now because conspiracy theories is a whole nother set and a whole nother station, and I'm not too big on conspiracy theories. I'm just like, hey, let people believe what they want to believe, and I'll just stay over here in my little watch everything happens as it happens bubble. But yeah, to all the people that do live on the coast, please, 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 please be safe and be careful out there. And if you do, like if the town that you live in does get issued a state of emergency where you have to evacuate, might want to heed that warning and go, because sometimes these storms, it'll be perfectly fine. It'll just rain a lot, everything will be fine. Or it can do, like I said, how the hurricanes did last year, where they're moving so slow that they just dump whole oceans worth of water on towns and have everything, like towns that would normally never flood just standing in like 2-3 feet of water, which is an astonishing amount of water. When you think about the perspective, like you can spill a cup of water in your living room floor and you'll see just how much that one cup spreads, and you just take hundreds of thousands of millions of gallons and just spray it all everywhere, and yeah, it's a lot of water, and water damage sucks. And I've only dealt with water damage on a small scale, so I couldn't imagine my entire house in like 2 feet of water. That just, Oh, that'd be crazy. So yeah, definitely be safe out there. And if you have the power to use your memes to destroy this hurricane like we've done in the past, then meme that thing away. Because for some reason some hurricanes are afraid of memes, and that's alright. That's a power that we can hold for ourselves, and hopefully it'll work for this one, because he's slowly curving his way back out. Maybe it might curve a little earlier. Who knows? It could redirect and kind of curve the other way. It might attack Florida anyway. We don't know because it's a storm and all that stuff. So yeah, if you have to deal with the storm, then definitely be safe out there. But right now, we'll go ahead and close this. So if you like this video, go ahead and scratch that like button so I can know to post more awesome content in the future. You want to talk to me? Have some Twitter. You want to draw fan art of ZabuTheSergal? Fan art is always welcome. Keep it PG-13. But as always, my name is ZabuTheSergal, and I'm out of here. La, 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 la. Oh, it's hot in here. 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 It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot.